The Mazda CX-30 is one of our favorite crossovers for people without kids. If you opt for the non-turbocharged motor here in, say, this Carbon Edition, what sort of fuel economy can you expect out on the highway? Today we're going to go find out. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. Today we've got the real-world highway fuel economy test on the 2023 Mazda CX-30 with the non-turbocharged engine. In today's test, we're going to head out on the highway and do about 50 miles out and 50 miles back, averaging 70 miles per hour, to get you a realistic fuel economy number for this subcompact crossover. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. Yes, the CX-30, one of the most enjoyable to be in and drive cars at about $31,000 as this one is built. Now, admittedly, I personally would opt for the CX-5, a little bit larger, not quite as efficient, but really not that much more expensive either. But this one's a little bit more fun to drive, a little bit more affordable, and a little bit newer feeling. So if you do want to check out more on the CX-30, check the link in the description. We've got sound system tests of both sound systems. We've got fuel economy tests of the turbo model, reviews on all sorts, done by me, by Chris, by Alyssa. We've thoroughly covered the CX-30, but for good reason, because this thing is pretty darn great. So why do we do this test? Well, the EPA's highway fuel economy test, which gives this CX-30 33 miles per gallon, keep all those 30s straight, that test only averages 48 miles per hour. We know there are plenty of people who spend time on the highway, take long road trips, things like that, and they'd like to know what sort of numbers you can realistically expect here in the real world. So in order to figure that out, we're heading over to the gas station here. We're going to fill up, go out and do 100 miles, come back, fill up at the same pump using the same 3-click fueling method, and get a result. Ooh, thumbs. A few things to note for today. Outside temperature 68 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm hoping we can avoid any serious rain. It doesn't look like it should be too bad. Unfortunately, today is Friday and traffic is picking up, so I'm sure we're going to have some traffic around there, but I'm going to try to pick a route that shouldn't be too bad. We're going to set the climate control at 73 degrees auto, and our tire pressures have been set to their door placard 36 psi cold. Oh, look at that, a Rivian. That's a pretty cool spec. All right, let's hop out and fill it up. 7.471 gallons going in for our first fill. Before we start the engine, we're going to reset our GPS. Also going to reset our trip computer. Get our climate control going, and we are ready to begin. Only one drive mode here in the CX-30, which I quite like. It's just sport and then normal, so I guess 2 drive modes, depending on how you're looking at it. Can't get much quicker than that. It's going to be about 0.1 miles, not even 0.1 miles till our on-ramp here. There we go, 0.1 right there. Now, the goal of this test isn't to hypermile. We're not trying to get the best possible fuel economy, but rather a realistic number. So in order to do that, we're going to get up to highway speed here at a reasonable pace and set our cruise control at a GPS-indicated 72 miles per hour. This should allow us to average 70 over the whole test. Yes, I don't know why I do this to myself. Put myself into Friday afternoon traffic in order to shoot one of these tests. But you got to do what you got to do. Looks like our speedometer is quite accurate on the car. 71's giving us about 71 over there, 72, so I'm going to set in at 72 miles per hour. We've still got adaptive cruise on this Carbon Edition. Okay, close this. Initial highway impressions? This thing's pretty quiet at $31,000. All right, well, we're going to catch up with you at the end of the test. In the meantime, enjoy this time lapse of the entire trip. Coming into the end of the highway fuel economy test here in the CX-30, we are dealing with this. So between all 4 of the routes that I could have taken, all having traffic on them, and then this one still getting slowed down with traffic and rain, not an ideal test, admittedly. However, I do still think our results are going to be fairly accurate because I was kind of able to offset the extra rolling resistance that the rain would give with a little bit of the slower average speed than we would typically run. We've only averaged 67 miles per hour. I actually ended up turning around early because of construction traffic on our route that ended up, it said it was going to be fine. It said it was green, but it was like 60 mile per hour moving green rather than proper speed. So we're averaging 36.9 MPG, rounding up to 37, and another reason I think that's still pretty accurate is I've actually already done a good amount of highway driving in this car, and I've been averaging right around those numbers, maybe a tad bit lower, but I was doing about 74 miles per hour cruising. So we're still going to get it back to the pump and get an answer. And for those of you who wonder, well, why don't you just redo, oh, looks like there's another accident over there. There's people who wonder, oh, well, why don't you just go out and redo the test? We have essentially 4 business days to shoot 2 or 3 different cars, shoot all of our videos, the sound test, the winding road test, the DM reviews, intro and outro, and the fuel economy test. So sometimes it just gets to this sort of situation here where it's like, we got to shoot this car on Friday, and we don't really have another choice because they take the car away from us after that. So yeah, kind of got to work with what we got. But we're going to back to the pump here, fill it up, and see what sort of numbers we get. 2.081 gallons going in for our final fill. 78.2 divided by 2.081 is giving us 37.5 MPG. So I'm going to round that down right at 37. And yeah, like I said, despite this being an unideal sort of test, I do think that number comes right in line because we tested a CX-30 turbo and it got 33 MPG, so about 3 or 4 MPG better than its highway, than its EPA figure. And this would also be getting about 4 MPG over its EPA figure. So that seems in line with the CX-30 as a model. I'm still pretty happy with that 37 MPG figure at 70 miles per hour. One of the biggest complaints with the CX-30 is the fuel tank size. Not very large, 12.7 gallons times 37 miles per gallon, giving you an effective highway cruising range of just a hair under 470. We're going to say 460 to be safe, 460 miles cruising. So still pretty usable amount when you're cruising on the highway. It's just maybe the city driving that you'll end up finding that you're putting fuel in a little more often than you'd like. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the quite good Mazda CX-30, check the link in the description. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.